Nope. Nope.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll call the Common Council to order. I will ask our clerk to call the roll to determine a quorum.
Alderperson Haas.
Here.
Lysick.
Here.
May.
Here.
Probst.
Here.
Frankie.
Here.
Rote.
Here.
Vitale.
Excused.
Weigel.
Here.
Barzak.
Here.
Chapletsky. 9 present, 1 excused.
We have a quorum. Alderman Haas will be making his debut and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance on 4th of July week, so let's do it right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have 3 items up for public hearing this evening. I'll ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
A hearing on the special use permit for an outdoor patio with extension of licensed premise for O'Connor's Perfect Pint, 8423 West Greenfield Avenue.
Mr. Schloss.
Changing it from 12 to 10. Definitely. Well, we should do the same as Craig's for the same reason.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the Common Council?
Mr. Mayor.
Alderman Barzak?
Do you know, have they any, are there any plans for them to look for alternative parking? They had 18 stalls going down to 14. It kind of boggles my mind why someone wants to put a patio in when you don't have parking and then take the only thing you have, which is parking, and put it there. Is there any, do you know of any plans? Because there's no street parking.
I'm not aware of any plans, but this is one of the few taverns that we have in the city of West that has on-site parking. There are a number of taverns around the city in various districts that don't have customers parking. However, they did have a relationship with closing property just to the east of this current location. But that park is currently for sale, so I don't know the future extension of that.
Okay, second question is, how close is this to the closest resident?
It looks like it's approximately 50 feet from the property line.
And then how far to the back? There's the alley, and then there's another residence back there.
I would have to look into the exact number, but it's 15 feet with the alley. You come up from the patio to the next property or from the property line to the left.
And they want to stay open till midnight with this? Okay, thank you.
They do want to know that they have a prepackaged food, what they currently serve, and they do have a plan to possibly look at more gourmet sandwiches, etc.
Well, I do know, when these all started out, they started out as dining patios. And we've really, really watered them down to now, anybody that applies gets one, which I'm not happy about, but thank you, that's enough.
Thank you, Alderman Barzak. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Weigel?
I guess this question is for Patrick. I don't know if you can answer it. Maybe it's a question for the owners of the business if they're here. I don't know. This passed through License on Health, but we had a discussion internally that because of the proximity to the house, regardless of who owns it, that we would much rather see a 10 PM versus a midnight cutoff as far as at least the alcohol service. We understand that we couldn't restrict, people maybe out there just telling jokes or smoking cigarettes. And it looks to me like they're putting a substantial investment in this. I think I saw a number of $40,000. And I'm just wondering how important to their business plan that those 2 hours of service from 10 PM to midnight would be, if how close to the bone this deal is being cut, and if would be a deal breaker if it was 10 PM versus midnight. So those would be my questions. I don't know if you can.
I would have to speak with the property owner and the business owner regarding that, and I'm not aware of the relationship between 10 and midnight.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the Common Council?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Probst.
Patrick, one of the things that bothers me about this, not the plan itself, but the hours of operation. We just recently passed on Fort Craig down the street to be able to have his hours of operation, and he's off at 10 o'clock. He needs to be done at 10 o'clock because he's in close proximity to the residents right next door. I guess I would respectfully ask, how is this different? I mean, that's where my issues are.
Any other questions from the Common Council?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Reinke.
I also have a concern regarding the 12 o'clock closing of the patio, because also it is in close proximity of the neighborhood, and I rather suspect that there would be somewhat of a problem. What are the hours of operation of other bars that have a patio? And you might say within the same vicinity. Do we have that same hour? I mean, all I can think of is some bars that we have set 10 o'clock as the time. So I would want to know what other bars in that particular area would have a closing time of 12 o'clock. I can think of no other bar. So I would like to know that. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from the Common Council? Okay, seeing none, are there any questions or comments from members of the audience on this item? Microphone.
My name is Mike O'Connor. I am the owner of O'Connor's Perfect Pint. Just in regards to the questions you guys raised, I guess I pretty much was, from what I was doing, is following the standard, which was there already. I spoke with Bunkers and Paulie's, and those are the hours that they have been issued and they have been given. So I guess that was I was just following the simple lines of the best obviously available times for myself to be able to use. And as far as the noise, I guess, in the proximity, I do have plans. The fence would be a 5-foot tall fence around the proximity. So I guess as some of the places that have open seating and no type of wall, I do have a retaining wall there also. And I have a fence that I've already built several years ago on the property for the noise to the property, I guess, would be to the west. Across Greenfield Avenue, again, I would have a set, and I would say it has to be at least 30 yards, 20 to 30 yards to the closest property would be to my south. So just wanted to respond to the questions you had and tell you what I found out about them. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else in the audience have questions or comments on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 1, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
A hearing on the special use permit for a bakery, Aggie's Bakery and Cake Shop, to be located at 7326 through 7328 West Greenfield Avenue.
Mr. Schloss.
Mayor and members of the Common Council, this is Aggie's Bakery and Cake Shop located at 7326 28 West Greenfield Avenue. This is the former Quest building, built in 2000. It's roughly a 9,000 square foot building. It's been vacant since 2008. It is zoned C1 which allows bakeries as a special use in the downtown. The bakery will occupy approximately 5,600 square feet with 1,000 of retail space, which include a wedding cake consultation center, as well as 4,600 square feet of production space for wholesale and cake production. There will be 2 tenant spaces. You can see here in tenant 2 space, roughly 1,000 square feet will be reserved for a wedding type of enterprise, whether it's a photographer, DJ, etc., or a 2,500 square feet of office space on the second floor, which would be co-working space, which is for individuals who like space that they can meet with customers, etc., but maybe work at home. This will be a place where individuals can come, meet with clients. Various type of businesses would be utilizing this space. Currently, it's required to have 21 parking spaces. The business on tonight's agenda has a resolution to lease 11 spaces on the furthest north parking lot located behind the Quest Building to the north. The hours of operation are 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. Generally, we're a bake shop. This has a little bit extended period of time. We're being flexible to allow for a production of baked goods. To date, the Plan Commission has recommended approval. We've received no objections to date, but 1 favorable recommendation. Gladly answer any questions to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Schloss. Are there questions or comments from the council on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Barzak.
did they bring any samples? Oh, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, are there any members of the audience that have questions or comments on public hearing number 2? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 2, and I will ask our clerk to read public hearing number 3.
A hearing on the special use permit amendment for West Dallas Community Child Care, a proposed child daycare center to be located within a portion of the Summit Place office building at 6682 West Greenfield Avenue.
Mr. Schloss.
Mayor and members of the Common Council, this is for a child care daycare center located at 6682 West Greenfield Avenue. The Common Council previously approved daycare facility in this complex, which is the former Alice Chalmers Manufacturing Complex. The daycare is generally located closer to Greenfield Avenue, generally on the southern portion of the former complex. The Common Council did approve a special use permit back in 2009 and also an approved site plan for the Head Start program, in which I believe they had around 120 kids that they could serve up to. The reason we have a special use on tonight's agenda is mainly to change the proposed hours of operation. This is a new operation that would move in, but they're asking from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. service. They provide some second shift daycare services. This is changing it from 7:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. To date, the Plan Commission has recommended approval and no objections were received to date. Gladly answer any questions you may.
Thank you, Mr. Schloss. Are there comments, questions from the Common Council? Seeing none, are there questions or comments from the audience? Also seeing none, we will close public hearing number 3. Concludes our public hearings this evening. We will move on to item E on your agendas, which is citizen participation. It's an opportunity for residents to address the council on matters of interest to them. We ask that you give us your name and address for the record. We ask that you sign in either before or after your comments, and we ask that you keep your comments to approximately 5 minutes.
Robert Brown, 2160 South 86th Street. I represent several agencies, as many of you know. But I came here tonight, we're celebrating the 4th of July, and many of our forefathers spoke of things. Seems that nowadays nobody wants to say anything. I'm just going to go back here before I get to what I came here for. About 30 years ago, when I was a pro-lifer at the clinics, I became aware of Reverend Weekland. He had a place on 27th in Wisconsin, and he was living a homosexual lifestyle. I became aware of it. I told many of the people. I know you're looking at me. I just bringing you the facts here. I brought it to some of the pro-lifers, and they didn't want to do anything about it. I also told them that he should be down at the clinic. He didn't want nothing to do with it. I noticed now they're not letting him move out of town. All the Catholics are disgusted with him. The shame is nobody spoke up about his behavior back then. Look how many of these kids were assaulted since then. Okay, that brings me, most of you know I've been an activist for 30 years. I've been involved with the Dahmer place and everything else. You name the stuff, I've been involved with it. Just recently here, I filed a lawsuit against Chris Abley and 3 of the other people that he has in charge down there that issued these gay licenses. Now, I just was in court Monday, had to take it to small claims so I could get the case rolling before that something else would happen. And so the judge did dismiss it. She said I didn't have standing, but she did assign me to a circuit court judge, which I knew would happen. Now I have a circuit court judge, which I can bring up some legal arguments, which you can't bring up in small claims court. You know, you're very little you can bring up there. So I'm in a good place now, and if I have to, I'll take it up the ladder further. There's some other people here in Wisconsin. You have to remember this. We voted 8 years ago, and it was one man, one woman marriage. It was a law. These judges are legislating from the bench. And who's speaking up about it? I haven't heard one of you speak up about it. I haven't heard none of the churches speak up about it. None of the aldermen. Haven't heard boo, which is normal. It reminds me of all the frivolous stuff that's brought up, like with this squirrel case. You know, this guy, I want to bring this up again. He ended up getting fined $1,200 for feeding what they called a wild squirrel. I sat through the trial. They had a picture of him throwing a couple nuts on the lawn. Did he show no squirrels? That was $600-some. But see, the alderman, I mean the city attorney's got enough time to pursue stuff like this, but yet we have a Dahmer cop that was living in West Dallas. Everybody knows who the Dahmer cop is with the suitcases. And I happened to be in Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment a lot when that was going on. I seen the refrigerator there. And but at any rate, he used to go, as many of you know, I was dealing with the homeless, and this cop, before he resigned or got kicked off the force for having a naked woman brought to the station or running around with a prostitute, he was hanging around at the court enforcing the law to the homeless people in McCarthy Park. I don't want to bring up too much what happened over there, but I know a lot of stuff goes on. Nobody speaks up. We know about Brian Lasik that drowned it in McCarthy Park. Nothing was ever said about that from the police department. Once again, wall of silence about everything that goes on. I realize that you are appointed by law to do certain things down here, but there's a lot of other things that comes up that you could speak about. We got Alderman, I won't mention his name, but one of the aldermen is being sued currently for $10,000 for his role in this squirrel case.
You have 1 minute remaining.
He decided, the city attorney said, you don't have to show up. It's only a subpoena if you've only been served money, but you're an alderman. You're above the law. You don't have to go down there and testify. So that's why this guy lost one of the cases. And we know the city attorney put a lien on him for another $600. At any rate, you guys should be interested in some of this stuff with the 4th of July, this same-sex marriage thing in some of the countries. It's still standing. We know 12 of the counties did not issue marriage licenses. All I can say is shame on Abley. He's made some comments about me and other things in the news. Shame on him. There's another guy, doesn't seem to know what his job is, what's important and what ain't. I won't go in all the things that has happened to me dealing with homosexuals, but I've been attacked. There's lawsuit cases going on where I've been physically attacked. Just recently, I'm going to close with this. My house was egged once again. My storage shed in the past has been set on fire, and I know it was found out it was from the gay community, over $10,000 damage. You know, when you speak up, you suffer some consequences, so it ain't my favorite thing to keep coming down here. I wish once in a while when things go on, some of you guys would speak up and do something. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else wish to address the council under citizen participation this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will close citizen participation and move on to item F. On your agendas, our standing committees will be meeting during recess, and those room numbers are listed on your agenda on page 2. Moving on to item G, the mayor's report. I recently had a meeting with a group or representatives of the UW Extension Master Gardeners Program, and I was reaching out to them to try to partner with them, helping to adopt more or less a few of our flower beds in our city that have kind of fallen victim to budget constraints and challenges. So happy to say we struck up a partnership with them, worked with our forestry department. They are going to be more or less adopting the flower bed outside of the log schoolhouse at Honey Creek Park. And they are looking to potentially put in a butterfly garden at Railroad Park on 82nd and National. I want to mention a few upcoming events. Alderman Ranky kind of threw me a curveball. I thought she'd have this covered, so I'm going to wing it, and then she can correct anything I say incorrectly during the alderperson's comments. The 4th of July, the Independence Day festivities are starting tomorrow night, the 2nd of July. The parade kicks off at 7 o'clock and goes through the downtown, ends up at Veterans Park, where there is a post-party, family-oriented post-party. Thursday morning, we have the community breakfast out here on the plaza. We are honoring veterans and student academic achievers or athletic achievers, or both? Both, okay. And then Friday evening, we have the concert and the fireworks at the grandstand at State Fair Park. And I've been getting a handful of phone calls from people. They were not aware, so I'm going to say again that the Wisconsin State Fair Park made the decision to charge $5 per car for parking for residents that are going to park in their property. This was not a decision by us. We stated our opposition to this several times. It was a decision by the Fair Park. I want to make that clear. So if anybody has a complaint with having to pay $5 for what has been free for all these years, I would encourage them to go on the State Fair website and call the fair. Last upcoming event, which will happen before our next meeting, is our National Night Out event at the Farmers Market. That is Monday, the 21st of July. I believe it starts at 5 o'clock. And there will be the usual community events, contests, games, things for the kids. And Tuesday evening will be the neighborhood block parties throughout the city. So I just wanted to remind everybody of those. It's not too late to put together a block party and make one more effort to try to get to know your neighbors. That does conclude the mayor's report this evening. Do we have any reports from the alder people?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Probst.
I have two things tonight. A point of clarification during citizen comment. We are elected, not appointed. I think that's a very important point. Next, last night we held a citizens meeting for Pawn America for the neighbors in the 76th and Lincoln neighborhoods. This meeting was held with all the powers that be of Pawn America. We had a nice, about 30 individuals showed up to protect their neighborhood, talk about how the powers that be can help to change the dynamics through some remedies, and that information will be forthcoming, hopefully within the next 2 weeks.
Thank you. Any other alderpersons' reports?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel?
This is actually for the council members and the neighbors on 76th Street between Greenfield Avenue and the northern city limit. As everybody knows, that 76th Street's torn up and under construction right now, and through some oversight, I guess it doesn't really matter where it was, although the street will be open for the fair, it wasn't planned on being lit. Now, the city, as a matter of policy, does not light our streets when they're under construction, but it seemed to us that it was very important that 76th Street be lit for the nights of the fair, for sure. I reached out to Senator Vukmir's office, Representative Sanfilippo's office, and the State Fair Director's office, Rick Furnett, and I heard back from Andy Schmidt yesterday, the operations director, that they are going to get DOT to pay for temporary light generators and the fuel bill. So we'll have temporary lighting out there for the 2 weeks of the fair, and the vast majority of the financial burden will not land on the taxpayers of the city of West Dallas. So I wanted to thank whoever made it happen. I got the phone call from Andy Schmidt. I don't know if it was whoever pulled the strings behind the curtain, but somebody did a good thing for us.
Thanks, Alderman Weigel. Any other reports from the alderpersons?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of the Common Council regular meeting of June 17th, 2014.
Second.
There's a motion with a second by Alderman Reinke. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed, motion carries. Looking at item J on your agendas, I will ask for a motion to refer items 4, 5, 6, and 7 to the city attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderman May, second by Alderman Barzak. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item K, standing committee reports, we have none.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
There is a motion and a second by Alderman Barzak. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are in recess.